I believe that the reason God created man was for management.
Really? I have never heard it put that way.
The first thing is to be honest with yourself. You can never have an impact on society if you have not changed yourself.
God will never allow growth where there is no management.
Wow, wow, wow.
So instead of praying for things from God, pray for the management ability.
Everything I tell you is true. Everything I open my mouth and I say is correct because heaven directs me on what to say. Eligwe, heaven will tell me and I will tell you it will come to pass in front of your eyes. Not behind you, you will see it happening.
God will withhold things from you if you cannot manage them.
When you look at the facts that something around 1 million people perished as a result of the actions of the British and Russian and Nigerian federal governments.
Vis-a-vis what we see in Nigeria, which is truly not, it should not be surprising. Look, what's happening in Nigeria is barbarous. It's horrible. I mean, it's complete madness, yet it's not a priority. The United States unilaterally could do almost anything it needs to do. It would be a long-term effort, but it could be done. And the United States has the capability. All the elements of power, we have those.
So why not?
It's not a priority. That's the problem. We are committed elsewhere in the world. Black West Africa is not a priority.
Anybody who changes his principles depending on whom he is dealing, that is not a man who can lead a nation.
Excuse me. No way. When the time comes, it's okay. What stupid country is this? So when you see you try somebody's secret, when you like, you try a secret, when you like it's in public, what stupid country is that? What stupid country is that, I ask you? When you like, you try in secret, when you like to try in private, they are killing my people. They are killing my people. They are killing they are killing my people. After killing my people, you tell me what to tell in secret? The person is mad. Completely mad. Tell Buhari, that's what I said. That he is mad. He cannot tell me. He cannot tell me. He's a madman. There's a contempt of court proceedings here. Contempt of court. They don't obey court order. They don't obey court order. You're telling me secret trial. Is the person mad?
I, Nnamdi Kanu, will sacrifice anything sacrificable to make sure that Biafra comes.
We hereby declare no election, no 2023 general election in Biafra land. This no election in Biafra land has been activated. We are going to make it a task that must be done by every Biafran. All measures will be put in place to make sure the adequate civil disobedience is implemented to stop the election in Biafra land.
the meaning of discovery? It means to bring to light something that is buried on the ground. If you can accept that, then you know that Biafra is coming. There is nothing man can do about it. It's too late. Way, way too late. The countdown has begun.
Of Biafra.
We've lived in the north for so many years, and the reward the Hausas could give my poor father was to kill him. He was the first man killed in the May massacre. After being chased for some few yards, they shot at him, and then when they got him, they had to slice him into two, like, you know, when you want to slice your bread into two. A human being being sliced into two. Can you imagine such a thing? Biafra is going to emerge as a nation. You know, despite the support of Britain, Russia, Egypt, and some other friends of Nigeria, we all will surely come out as a nation because we are fighting a just cause. Even a little child on the street will tell you this. We shall never go back to Nigeria again. God's grace will surely emerge as a nation. And so, as far as this war continues, we'll fight to the last man.
Yeah, good to have you, everyone. Again, today is the last day of the month of January 2023, and today is 31st, of course, Tuesday. Thank you all for joining wherever you're joining from. I greet you all and I appreciate you for joining. I know that we are all excited and we are all prepared for what is coming mentally and otherwise. We are very, very prepared. I want to thank you, lovers of freedom, Oduduwa people, Biafra people, and other tribes stuck and held down in Nigeria, and every other tribe that loves freedom all over the nations of the world. I want to thank you for joining. I want to thank you all from wherever you're watching from. My name is Kelechi Ambrose, and this is Evidence History program on Biafra Global Network. I am delighted to have you, and I'm delighted to see your messages coming in. Of course, we have our guests already in the room waiting, and shortly I'm going to be bringing them on in the next 1 minute. But before I do that, I want to say congratulations to Biafrans. Great things are coming. Of course, you guys have seen one of the posts of Mazi Samanekpa. Great things are coming, and of course, greater things will also follow. And of course, you should understand that the cause of freedom and the mandate of freedom is not infertility for those who are trying to frustrate the people. Like, you know, during the time of Ezra and Co. building the temple, you saw people coming to tell them stories, coming to frustrate them, coming to make them feel like they are doing something, you know, something very, very horrible. And of course, but we know that this time around, we are sure and certain of what we are doing. And we know that Chukwokike is with us. So thank you all, Biafrans. Without wasting much time, I'm going to be bringing our guests, you know, right here. But before I do that, I just want to get a particular information and post it here. I don't know why I'm not seeing it. Okay, I've seen it. Can you imagine? All right, good to have you. And of course, this is it. We are winning from Mazi Samanekpa. We are winning. Today is the happiest day of my life in Biafra liberation. Finally, God has answered the prayers and cries of Biafra people. A very big success recorded today. When God is involved, this is the result. All I did was cry, you know, was cry of joy, and I am still crying. All hail Biafra. And of course, when I saw that, 2 tears dropped from my eyes, you know, because when you see good things and you know that you've been expecting for a long time, just know that, you know, the time has come. Without wasting more time, I welcome my guest. Of course, Abi Tombe is here already. Good to have you, especially my sister. You're welcome. And also, of course, Pastor Emeka Livingstone is also here. My God, this is going to be powerful today. It's going to be very, very powerful. Let me begin with him. Just say hello to Biafrans.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Mazi Kelechi. And thank you also. You're welcome, Pastor Emeka in the house. And I want to greet every Biafran. Greetings to all lovers of freedom and all Biafrans, wherever you are, and you're listening to us today. God bless
you. Thank you, and God bless you too. We are happy to have you. Pastor Emeka Livingstone, please just say hello to lovers of freedom all over the nations of the world.
Hello, Biafrans, wonderful people, my people, our people, God's people. God bless you. Thank you, Pastor Kelechi, for having me here. And my regards also goes to Abitombi. Abitombi is also a pastor. God bless you, madam.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
On behalf of Biafrans, I say welcome to you on this hallowed platform. Of course, it's very interesting when we begin to see positive things, especially when we know that definitely we're going to have them. We always have them. As much as we know that God has ordained the fact of positivity, and definitely it is certain. So first, I want us to react to this post by Mazi Samonekpa. I want you to speak to Biafrans concerning this. Let them understand the spiritual implication. You know, we have pastors in the house, and so they will give us the spiritual implication of this particular submission by Mazi Samonekpa. Let's hear from Abitombi first. What do you think about this message? And tell Biafrans something they need to know and what is coming.
Now, when I saw this, I was so excited in my spirit. You know, I was full of joy. Because if you read through this message, you'll see God all over this message. The involvement of God. And we've always been told that Biafra project is a spiritual project. It isn't something that you gain by your might. If we fight with our might, we fight with what we think we have, with our intellect, it isn't enough. We wouldn't get the Biafra until we bring in the Chukwokike factor, we bring in Elohim into it. And there you see the actualization of Biafra. And here it is today. You can see in the language of our spokesperson that it is God. He said, I cried to him, I rejoice. And God is involved in this project. And this shows that the Biafra that we're looking for is here, because we have brought in the main person that have taken up this project from where our strength took us to. Right here, God is involved in this business, and we know that we have received it. Thank you.
Wow, the Biafra we're looking for is here. Pastor Livingstone, I believe you can smell Biafra. You can feel the aura around you. Please say something about that particular statement made by Simon Ekpa. I know you can give us also a spiritual perspective to it, at the same time making Biafrans understand the fullness of what is to come.
Okay, Biafrans, listen. If you look at that write-up, God was mentioned there twice, and everything centers around him. So as a child of God, I have an inclination to lean towards it because God is mentioned. Even though the information is vague, I don't really know what the rejoicing is all about, because I don't have a proper information. But I understand that hence God is mentioned, then there is something positive to look forward to. And therefore, Biafrans, as far as God is concerned, we look forward to something because his name is mentioned there. God bless you.
Thank you so much for that. And of course, our people are rejoicing everywhere. All over Twitter, we're seeing the responses of people. People are excited. In fact, I made my post there also, and it's been wonderful. We know that it is for good. That is why the cry of joy, the tears of joy is flowing down. And God, as Pastor Livingstone said, God was mentioned twice. Yes. And once have I received, once have I heard, and twice, once have I, how did they put it now? I forgot it.
Once have I heard, once has God spoken, and twice have I heard. The power belongs to God.
Power belongs to God, yes. Once have God spoken, twice have I heard that all power belongs to God. So this is an evidence, of course, that all power belongs to God. I appreciate you all sending your messages. Keep sending the messages. We're going to read them out later. But first, we're going to go straight to what we have to do here. Now, we are going to watch a particular video. Of course, Pastor Livingstone played it the other time, you know, on his platform. That was on Sunday, if I'm not mistaken, also. And we actually looked at that on Sunday or Saturday, yes. And we actually looked at that particular video and we made some analysis, but we decided we're going to make much of that analysis on this particular broadcast today. We're going to give it time, and we want you to join forces with us. The viewers, our viewers here, wherever you're watching from, of course, some of you have the numbers to call in, but I'll still pronounce the numbers again. +212 707 898 194. Now, this program today is not for Nigerians, it is for intellectuals. So if you know you're an intellectual, you'll be able to contribute very well, because you know Nigerians, you can't reason. Your brain is stopped. So it's a problem. So unless you move yourself into the realm of being an intellectual, leave the dimension of being a Nigerian, you will reason along the line of this guy, this brown colored guy, not black, because they call us black. We're not black, we're brown and by color. So this guy was speaking. So we want you to join +212 707 898 194, +212 707 898 194, +212 707 898 194. I'm going to play the video now. You're going to hear it. I want you to pay attention, everybody. Pay attention, listen to this video, and then begin to dissect on the realm, with the help of the Spirit of God. You'll be able to identify where the problem is and where all of us have been put in a situation, a chokehold situation where we need to get ourselves free, and it only takes us to get ourselves free. Watch this video, and then we continue this program.
Here's 3 things that keeps Africa enslaved to the Chinese and the white man by virtue of their politicians. Number 1, we have been distracted in America, the Caribbean, Africa, all over the world. It's a Pan-African problem. We have been distracted from development with democracy. Everybody's focusing on who to vote for. You're not looking at the conditions. What's going to change whether he wins or he wins? Because guess who's financing both of them? The same people stealing your oil. Who's financing both of them? The same people stealing your gold. Who's financing both of them? The same people stealing your coltan. You follow me? So democracy is a joke they play on black people to make you think you can have radical transformation without revolution. The reason the white man pushes democracy globally so hard is if there's ever a breakdown in the black man's confidence in democracy, the only alternative is revolution. So that's number 1. Democracy is a distraction from development. Number 2, when I travel, especially Africa, but it's true in the Caribbean also, black people are more concerned with their tribe being in control than they are with liberation from foreign control. Are you following me? I've seen it. So when the elections is coming up, it's not about freeing us from white supremacy or Chinese imperialism. It's about, are my people going to be the president? Is somebody from my tribe going to be the prime minister? And because they're more concerned about tribal imperialism than African independence, this democratic scheme that they run on black people continues because we're so petty and so small in our thinking. I just want to make sure his people don't get the presidency. I'm not even looking at the bigger picture. The white man knows this. The Chinese know this. So they come in, exploit, finance both sides, so no matter who wins, they get all the resources. And then the third issue is most African leaders and Caribbean are foreign educated. They go to Britain for their education. They go to France for their education. They go to Belgium. They come to America for their education. And what did Dr. Carter G. Woodson say in Miseducation of the Negro? The college-educated Negro is seldom of any use to his race because the education he gets is an education that takes him away from identification with his people. So most of our African and Caribbean and American leaders are Negropean. They have an African body, they have a European mind. So the white man and the yellow man are controlling the black man through remote control by virtue of conscious control of the way that he thinks. The entire thought process of the African leader, there's a few exceptions, but for most of them and the Caribbean, the entire thought process is that of a white man. How can we get free?
Yes, you all heard that particular, message from there. Very critical, very, very critical message. But before my guests wade in to this fact, I want to play it one more time because I know some of you might just have been hearing it for the first time, and then you begin to try to place what he actually said. Now, I'm going to play it again because when you hear something once and you hear it again and you hear it again, you get a better understanding because your understanding is important and crucial to what we're going to do today. Remember, I said that it is for intellectuals and not for Nigerians. But Nigerians also can try to see if they can destroy that mindset of reviving their mindset, which is in comatose. Because the only reason why you are a Nigerian is that your thinking faculty is in comatose. That means you cannot reason. So just make it alive by using your will and your feeling of what you are going through and conducting it into the realm of your will. It will revive your mental faculty. You begin to reason like an intellectual. You don't need to go to university to be an intellectual. You don't need to go to school to be an intellectual. All you need to do is to know how to reason and your own man, the Spirit of God that directs you and helps you to reason. Now, I'm going to play it one more time. Listen to it carefully and get all the information. Write down some stuff you need to write. He stated 3 good points. I want you to state them down, jot them down, and then as we analyze these things, ask your questions from those points that you jot down. Ask your questions, get your observations, and talk about it and reminisce over them regarding yourself and your situation in Nigeria. That is the most important thing that you must. This is what is going to prompt you to understand how to free yourself from the shackles of hell called Nigeria. Watch it again.
But here's 3 things that keeps Africa enslaved to the Chinese and the white man by virtue of their politicians. Number 1, we have been distracted in America, the Caribbean, Africa, all over the world. It's a Pan-African problem. We have been distracted from development with democracy. Everybody's focusing on who to vote for. You're not looking at the conditions. What's going to change whether he wins or he wins? Because guess who's financing both of them? The same people stealing your oil. Who's financing both of them? The same people stealing your gold. Who's financing both of them? The same people stealing your coltan. You follow me? So democracy is a joke they play on black people to make you think you can have radical transformation without revolution. The reason the white man pushes democracy globally so hard is if there's ever a breakdown in the black man's confidence in democracy, the only alternative is revolution. So that's number 1. Democracy is a distraction from development. Number 2, when I travel, especially Africa, but it's true in the Caribbean also, black people are more concerned with their tribe being in control than they are with liberation from foreign control. Are you following me? I've seen it. So when the elections is coming up, it's not about freeing us from white supremacy or Chinese imperialism. It's about, are my people going to be the president? Is somebody from my tribe going to be the prime minister? And because they're more concerned about tribal imperialism than African independence, this democratic scheme that they run on black people continues because we're so petty and so small in our thinking. I just want to make sure his people don't get the presidency. I'm not even looking at the bigger picture. The white man knows this. The Chinese know this. So they come in, exploit, finance both sides, so no matter who wins, they get all the resources. And then the third issue is most African leaders and Caribbean are foreign educated. They go to Britain for their education. They go to France for their education. They go to Belgium. They come to America for their education. And what did Dr. Carter G. Woodson say in Miseducation of the Negro? The college-educated Negro is seldom of any use to his race because the education he gets is an education that takes him away from identification with his people. So most of our African and Caribbean and American leaders are Negropean. They have an African body, they have a European mind. So the white man and the yellow man are controlling the black man through remote control by virtue of conscious control of the way that he thinks. the entire thought process of the African leader. There's a few exceptions, but for most of them and the Caribbean, the entire thought process is that of a white man. How can we get free?
Okay, it was frozen. I couldn't see anything now. I thank God it's back. So now we are set to go. We're good to go. And I know my guests are prepared to make us and give us the information we require. Now, first, I want to look at the first point he made in this. The first point he made in this, he talked about distraction. Distraction. And I know distraction is a tool that works on the mind. Now, let me go. This, it's always ladies first. Let me go to Abi Tombi. Abi Tombi, please, can you tell us what you think distraction is, especially when it comes to things that affect the mind and the ability to focus? Please talk to us about it.
Thank you very much, Kelechi. Thank you for having me again. The first point that this dear brother made is around distraction. And just like you said, distraction is a very powerful tool that is used. It could be used by government. It could be used by a group of people. It could be used by an organization to manipulate or change the way people think or the way they should think. And so with distraction, they could actually get someone that has been on the right path to deviate from that path. Whether the path of development, the path of success, you could deviate through distraction. So it's a powerful tool of the mind that could be used to reprogram people, to manipulate people. And so it's been a very powerful tool that has been used on Africa, a powerful tool that has been used on Nigerians, used on indigenous people. And this tool that has been used on indigenous people have come in different forms, different shades, different sizes. But intrinsically, the intention is to distract the people and cause them not to be focused and cause them not to understand who they are, what they should be looking for, or what they should have at a particular time. And so they're able to get them off track. And that's exactly what has happened to Africans. That's what has happened to Biafrans. That's what has happened to Nigerians at large. And when I use the word Nigeria, I'm talking about the indigenous people. That's the tool that has been used to manipulate them, to distract them, to confuse them, so that they do not understand who they are or what they should be looking for or what they should be having, possess at a given time. And so that's my contribution to what distraction is.
All right, thank you so much, Abitobi. And Pastor Emeka, she said something critical. She said it has been used as a tool, but I begin to imagine, because when it comes to the ability to distract people, it takes a kind of skill. It comes with skill, because distraction goes along with skill used negatively to influence others. Now, how is it possible that distraction, especially when it comes to the context of indigenous people, as she mentioned, as Mrs. Abitombe mentioned, she talked about manipulating or distracting the indigenous people. Now, which means that a lot of people is involved. Now, how is it possible that a few people could distract a whole lot of people with the weapon against their mind, so that they begin to see something different from who they are? Is it how possible? How does it work?
Yes, and in fact, before I begin to speak there, I want to point out that the British people are masters of the game of distraction and manipulation. And like she said, distraction is taking away attention from a line of action, a belief, a movement, from focus. Now, distraction can be done in a way that a lot of people are fooled by a few, because if those few have personal ambition and have the key by which they can really turn the people towards a particular direction, especially when they understand the weak points of the people or the needs of the people, distraction can be applied. If people have a focus to do something, they have a belief, a mindset, and people who study them very well understand that if you allow them, we are not going to get what we need. So we devise a means by which we can present something to them that is nice, like a carrot, and then take away the attention from that thing, so that that thing could be something which we will get, or we will use them to bring us to that place where we want to be without much stress. Even in economics, it takes only maybe 20% of the people in a particular nation to hold the nation economically, because they understand the secrets of business. The other 80% are employed by them, and these 20% that control the commanding heights of the economy dictates the pace, the direction the economy goes at any particular time. It gives them advantage, using the people to satisfy and fulfill their personal dreams, and at the same time creating employment to the people who feel grateful that opportunities came without knowing that this is not so, that they have deceived them from knowing who they really are and what they should want and the direction they should go. For example, we all want Biafra, and Nnamdi Kanu was able to psych up the minds of Biafrans. It will have been a particular decision. For once, we collectively came together as one and made a decision which has never happened before. So it became a threat to the caliphate and the British people, because they always ruled us on our divisiveness, our inability to come and speak with one voice. So the very moment you came speaking with one voice at the introduction of Nnamdi Kanu, they now saw that the direction we're going is Biafra land. Biafra is coming. They now brought Obi, that you have a chance of being the president of Nigeria. Britain called him and advised him. The caliphate called him and advised him. So Obi started going around and people were hailing him. That is the distraction, such that they will give Obi presidency. The Igbos will assume that they have been president, but the actual beneficiaries of this distraction are the British and the caliphate and those people who work with Obi. So that is how they manipulate it. Very few persons that have idea. Even in the Bible times, it was just the same thing. Very few persons got up, raised the idea against Moses in the wilderness, convinced the people, and they rebelled against them. It is possible. It works in every climate. It takes only a few who study the people and know their needs, their weak points, their shortcomings, what will help them, where they will strike them. Most times it has to do with their stomach. It has to do with resources that they will get. Thank you very much.
Now, from your analysis, you pointed so many things, but the one thing I want to pick out from here, which will take us to the next point, is the issue of destruction in context of the elections. Of course, we know election is a product of democracy. Now, Abitombi, let me come to you right now. He talked about Peter Obi being a distraction, but we're not here to discuss Peter Obi. We want to look at the components of destruction in itself as it relates to us and how we allow, the elements, of this, or the vessels of this destruction to get to us. Especially, basically, just like Pastor Livingstone said, when we are not focused or when we don't have the fullness of understanding of what we are pursuing or the purpose of what we're going for, we get ourselves easily distracted. Now, there's something the guy mentioned, two things basically he talked about. He talked about democracy, and then he talked about development. And from that, his analysis, that's the first point he made. From that, his analysis, he said that development is a direct product. I'm paraphrasing now, in my own way. Development is a direct product of revolution, because revolution is about creating the enabling environment for collective interest of a people, which means that for there to be development, the people must carry out a particular course, which is interpreted in the context of revolution, so that they can have a platform or a platter or a template that will help them carry out the development. Now, but he said something. He said that democracy, which is supposed to be a product of that revolution, is now fronted before revolution, which means that they have given to those they have distracted the understanding that all they need is democracy for there to be development, rather than development before democracy, in the sense of, when we talk about development, in the sense of structure. Now, Mrs. Abitombe, how distracted are Nigerians? Let me narrow it down to Nigerians, because we know we have those who are not Nigerians, we have those who are Biafrans and Oduduwa people, that. At this point in time now, because the election is the key, how distracted are Nigerians away from their own personal awareness of who they are?
Okay, thank you very much, Mazi Kelechi. Yes. Distraction as a tool and democracy as a bit that has been put forward to Nigerians in the place of development. It's one of the strongest issues that we have currently in Nigeria. If we go back down in history, we were told that sometime in 1914, there was a forced marriage, amalgamation.
We can also call it destruction, right?
Yes, which was part of the original destruction.
Original destruction.
Yes, when they were mapping out how distracted we should be, they brought in this forced marriage, which our parents, our grandparents were not part of it. They were not told what it is. They didn't sign for it. And they brought different people together, indigenous people, forced them and say, you've got to stay together. And inside it is the personal interest of the slave masters, because it was actually an enslavement. This forcing together was an extension of the enslavement that was actually taking place in Africa, in Nigeria, as at that time. And so when the people thought that they have received freedom, when they thought what they later got was freedom in 1960, little did they know that they only inherited a bigger distraction. They inherited a bigger problem. And here we are, several years after 1960, when Nigeria supposedly was said to have received independence. We are even more divided than 1960. We are more divided than any other time in the history of this contraction. And so when you look at it to see democracy, you would understand that in the real term, there's no democracy. There's no democracy. And what the British have handed over to our people, or what they are doing, is the tool of manipulation to keep sustaining this marriage. They want to sustain it, and it has to continue. And that's why when you look at the issue of our leader, Mazi Nnamdi Kanu, since he was abducted, we did not hear much from the British government. Everything that Biafrans have done, they cry out here and there. Nothing tangible have been done. But today, you begin to see the British consulate talking about PVC, becoming like a campaign manager, talking about PVC, because that is where their interest lies. And you know, I know you said we can't talk about P2B, but there's no way we talk about distraction. There's no way we'll talk about distraction in this current state of Nigeria for all the indigenous people without talking about P2B. Because the deliverance, the freedom of Biafra will be the freedom of other indigenous people. And so if Biafrans are distracted, it means that every other indigenous people will be distracted and they cannot gain their freedom. Africa itself will remain in bondage until Biafra is liberated. And that's why P2B continues to be a distracting tool and a very powerful tool in the hands of the British to ensure that this factory of theirs, where they are sustained, where their country is sustained, is maintained, would continue. That's why he is here. But thank God that there are people that understand the game. There are people that understand the trick. There are people that understand the reason why he is here. Not everyone is distracted. There are people that understand that he is a distraction. He's a distraction to our development. He's a distraction to our liberation. He's a distraction to our freedom. Because, like our spokesperson said, he has the template. He has the blueprint of where we should be and how and when. And this man just surfaced. And unfortunately, so many Biafrans do not understand that this man is standing between them and their total freedom from the enslavement that they've been in for years. And it's like a child, all of a sudden, when you are to receive what you've been waiting for years, and somebody comes in between you and that thing, that's exactly what we have come to do. But we are not distracted. I said we are not distracted. And so we understand exactly what he is doing. And whether he comes out or not, like our spokesperson have said, we know that Biafra is here and there will be no election because that is our powerful tool. There will be no election in Biafra land. And that's exactly what it will be. Thank you.
Very well. Of course, Peter Obi, it must be discussed because he's actually a tool of that, even if he's not the subject here anyways, but he's an object of the fact. So we'll talk about him. So I didn't say we shouldn't mention him at all. We will mention him because he's part of the Pastor Emeka, do you have anything to say concerning the what she was saying? Maybe your thoughts along that line before I ask the next question.
Yes, I have. Let's face it. Let's tell ourselves the truth. We, until now, we're a very dumb set of people. Whether you choose to call us blacks or the Negro race or the brown race, whether from Caribbean, Africa, the origins of Australia that are black or those in India.
Tell us why you say so.
Yeah, I'll explain. In the first instance, before a distraction came, we had a way of life which was
That's right.
Conversant, and we progressed. Now, when the white man came and showed
is he a white man? It seems you have a call. The volume has.
I'm taking the way.
Can't hear you anymore.
Yeah. Can you hear me now? Can you hear me now?
We still have the crack is becoming very. The crack is becoming very, very bad. I don't know if there's a way you can. I don't know.
Shall I? Let me go out and come in.
Yes, you have to go out and come in because I think the cracking is much. Yes, please go out and come in so that we can get you right. Of course, our guest, Mrs. Abitombe, made some vital points here, and of course, told us about the object of destruction, which Peter Obi is one of the objects, and basically by the sentiment of tradition. Now we're going to get on. Let's.
Can you hear me now?
Go on now. Yes, at least it's fairer. It's fairer. Okay, let's check it out now.
So we had a way of life, a culture of how we run our own home government, do our business, have family, raise children. Now, when the white man came and saw that we had abundance of resources, but we're ignorant of those resources.
That's what we call them white men. You said white man when the white man came.
When the Caucasian, when the colonialist came, when the
imperialist,
when the exploiter came, when the British man, the imperialist, when the
colonizers
came, he saw that we had these resources, but we didn't know how to go about it. Then what he now did was to upset our normal lifestyle. That was where the distraction came. What did he do? He has selfish interest. He picked a few people, told them certain things, and gave them leverage if they would follow him. Those people he gave leverage went up, had ideas, came back and began to speak above the knowledge of our people, either through their action or through what they did. For example, the colonial man comes with a gun and shoots a dog from a distance, it dies. The black man hadn't seen, the African man hadn't seen that happen before. He said, what miracle weapon do you have that can from a distance shoot something without seeing the bullet? And he begins to adopt your way of life. And you now begin to teach him that he has to do so and so to be in charge of these people, that there is gold. When they bring him 100 pieces of yam, you can give him 10. So he eats more than he was eating before. They take advantage of the people's stomach, they take advantage of their sense of exploitation, and then upset something that was normal before. That is where the distraction is. So we were so dumb. That's why I said we're dumb. When we come to education, we are going to discuss that too. Why is it that it wasn't ourselves that went there and taught them a new way of life, distracted them, and then they followed us? If you follow history very well, you see that civilization started from Africa. Why didn't we take it up as to make people buy our way of life? What made them think that they are more superior? And they told us and we bought it. Distraction. Now, when you talk about that being a distraction, we bring democracy, because democracy and development work hand in hand. And the intention of democracy is to bring about development. But on this basis, that it should be for the benefit of the society, the imperialists did not think that way. He was bringing democracy and development for his benefit, where he will exploit the resources for his general benefit, and a part of the resources to come to those few people whom he used to exploit and manipulate those people, the general people, to be rich. So while the others are impoverished. So that distraction, as you are seeing, came because we impacted, because we're so dumb, we're not able to stay in a lifestyle that was better. And when they brought an idea to us, the idea was not intended to open our brains and our minds into extra resources to become great. No, that was how dumb we were. They now took those resources, set us underground, we brought out the gold, sometimes the cave will collapse, and die in mines, they collect the gold, go back to their country, bring to us finished products.
We're having a problem with the sound.
People keep calling me. People keep calling me. I don't know why they're stopping me. Now, are you hearing me now?
Yes, somehow we can.
Yeah.
Yes, we
so,
can.
Now, they bring this thing as finished products, which we wear on our neck as gold trinkets, and they look so beautiful. And we spend all the resources we had from the pay, which they gave us when we dug the gold for them from the mine, to pay for 1 little gold and brandish ourselves as the privileged society. And then the society looks up to us as those who are blessed, but not knowing that the gold which we are wearing came from our ground, which we labored to pick. They took there and refined. They had the wisdom to know how to refine. Now, the black man took to sleeping too much. By the time he woke up from sleep, the white man has so advanced in technology. The black man all he could do now was know how to use the technology, but does not know how to replicate or produce his own. So some black men became water and hewers of wood. Others became users and dealers of this technology without knowing how to produce their own. That was the distraction. So democracy is intended, like that young man said, not to free us from the white man. Democracy was intended not to make us develop and become a powerful nation. No. Democracy was intended to distract us from believing, understanding, and discovering who we are, and then giving us another version of ourselves, which we are going to learn from the black man, who is giving us a better means of administration, which at the end of the day, we were exploited, demonized, relegated, confusion put in our midst, and we hated one another. Just go to that position which the white man wants us to be in the name of democracy, and then subdue others who can be able to attain it. So that is the point then, that democracy has to go with development. Distraction comes with democracy. Sorry. Disrupted our way of life. And after that, it brought in democracy. And democracy deceived us further into, excuse me, into development. Democracy deceived us onto development. But the development was not intended for a general good. It was only intended for the good of a few who are able to access this democracy which the white man taught them, and then for the general good of the white people. Because even in the white man's land here, what people understand their rights, and every money that is being used is voted to develop the country for the benefit of everybody. Do you understand me? So that is how I see that discussion.
Let me ask you this question pertaining to that, because we know that, of course, it's evident that democracy is tantamount to governance. Yes. But government is only recognized and legalized only when a structure, a template is in place. That is, you first get your constitution, which is structure, in place, and then you can now begin to talk about governance, and democracy becomes very effective in that regard. Now, but here now we have these people came with the concept of distraction first. After the forceful came in, and then in 1914 they now gave a standard distraction program, just like Abitombi said. The grand distraction, took place where they made the people believe that they have to be together. That's the first distraction, because false unity in the sense of amalgamation, giving you a false unity, so that as a distraction to to get the people distracted. Now, then they began a democracy, or they began democracy. That means that there's the means of governance on a wrong footing or on a wrong platter, which is the amalgamation program or the business structure of Nigeria. That faulted our democracy. That faulted democracy in that sense, not our democracy. That faulted democracy in that sense, which means that if there's going to be development, then, there's going to be a democracy in place which carries the notion of the interest of the people. You must first consider the developmental side of the first approach to structural positioning of a template that will determine how development will continue based on the fact that the government comes in to manage that process. Am I correct?
Yeah.
Yes.
I'm hearing.
So now, in the context of Nigeria, now we have a template that is already on ground, which is Sinosure. The Sinosure of that template is Nigeria, and we all know what Nigeria represents. Now, this guy says now that our people are now thinking of election rather than development, because election only makes you feel like you belong to a thing, because you are being made to feel like you are being carried along. But development only comes because there's a structure in line with what democracy should go with. Now, it seems okay. Let's he's supposed to answer that question. Okay, let me bring him in again. So because Abitombe, you're going to answer it from there, because you're going to get from his own response, and then I'm going to ask you your own question now. Now, democracy becomes a very legitimate tool when the structure is right. Now, in Nigeria context, we know the structure is not right. Now, but I want to ask this question: does it mean that democracy is used as a tool of normalizing the people's mind to think that you must take things in a forced due process, or you must follow the norm even if it is going wrong?
Listen to me. Are you hearing me very well?
Yes. Yes.
Listen. Democracy is good from the outside world, who understood it to be for the benefit of their people. Unfortunately for us, when we imbibe democracy, we imbibe it at the detriment of our well-being as a people. We embrace democracy, but not with the intention to develop the people generally, our structure generally. It was not with the intention for a spread of human rights and evolving a society that is dynamic. Democracy, as we imbibe, had a double negative impact on us. First, from those who introduced it to us with the intention to exploit us. And then we imbibed it to be exploited, and then to exploit our brethren. And so, instead of bringing us development, democracy brought divisiveness, deceit. So, within the context of African nations or Africa, this same democracy, even though the Chinese practice communism, there is element of democracy practiced inside communism. There's element of democracy practiced in other forms of government. But the point is, they gear their practice towards benefiting the society through development, proper education. That is why they are world powers. But we developed that, we imbibe democracy purely on the purpose of I before you. I come up and I'm trained, I'm a professional. When I come back, you respect me, I'm better than you. And therefore, it was not tailored towards developing the society. No. The democracy in Nigeria was tailored towards exploiting the masses.
Okay.
Embezzling money, eating our resources, covering our tracks. That is the reason why that democracy is not acceptable. Not as if we're against democracy, but the way we imbibed it was wrong.
So, which means that Abitombe, let me hear your thoughts on that particular question.
I'm not hearing you well. Let me log out and log in. They keep calling me. I'll be upset with you.
Okay. Abitombe, what do you have to say about that? You maybe have something to say in that line.
Yes. Thank you, Mazi Kelechi.
Yes.
For me, I would want to say that the system, Nigeria, at the time it was set up, the system was set up to be a fraud.
Okay.
So Nigeria in itself is a hoax.
So that is what gave fault to the democracy we operate.
That's exactly what it is. The intention of the people that put us together wasn't for us to develop. It wasn't geared towards development. And so our coming together, our being forced together from the beginning was meant for us not to be developed. And so for us to remain underdeveloped. And they came up with the word third world countries, underdeveloped countries. And so all over Africa, it's the African continent that you have this larger number of countries that are underdeveloped, in quote, or they are called third world countries, because from the beginning, they were meant not to develop. And so I will look at it from two sides. One side of it is the side of us, and the other side is the side of them being the people that set up the system as a fraud, that set up the system not to succeed, that set up the system to be their factory, that set up the system to impoverish the people, to ensure that the people would not be able to come off poverty. So intrinsically, the plan, the design of this contraction was for this contraction, the people, the so-called country, Nigeria, would never develop. They will remain poor, will remain like children, and will be looking up to the slave master. And so we're to remain as vassal states forever. That's the design. And so even the constitution that they prepared from the beginning, the first, the second, in it is the same intention. This deliberate is a deliberate intention. That is.
Now let me take it from here now. Let me ask you this, because Onye Kachuku says they acclaimed gospel missionaries and religion played deceitful and divisive roles, indirectly working with the colonial masters. I'm going to say that religiously.
Can I come in the way? Let me mention something, please.
Okay, please do this.
She said she's looking at it from two sides. Them and us. No, there are three sides. Them.
Okay.
First side. The second side, our democratically elected leaders. The third side, we ourselves that elected them. Because our leaders cannot behave if we don't give them the support.
I want to ask a question in that regard. Are they our democratically elected leaders?
They were voted, whether it was rigged or not. We went for an election, whether they are vote counted or not. And if we went for an election and the wrong person was brought into the government, what did we do? That's why I said we detect people, because they cannot do an imperialist, a maximum ruler, a tyrant, a tyrant cannot function in the society effectively if it also have the support of the people. Remember the Russian Revolution. The day it took place, it was terrible because the people rose up and worked against the Tsars and leadership. So, if the people are supporting the politicians who are appointed by the imperialists, there are three sets of people here: the British man, the Nigerian politician, and the Nigerian mass. The masses themselves don't even understand, they don't want to know their rights. They're willing to kill themselves for a politician. Even though you're telling them the truth, that you're making them mistake, they don't want to listen. So that also applies to that man who was talking about religion. It is the same thing in the church. People are willing to die for a Jew whom they believe in. They're standing for the truth of the gospel. So the foolishness is from the pastor in the church, the manipulation from the pastor, from the GO, and from members of the church. Nobody could only come up and tell the God, look at the NSAS. It's like the people woke up from their sleep. That's why I say we are done. Why is it that it is not us who captured the whites and sent them to slavery? They were able to think outside the box, brought in their sheep here and took us in. And we paid the price. It's our fault. Even up to now, that dumbness continues. That they have set up somebody to distract the Biafra struggle. Those who supported Nnamdi Kanu suddenly turned around and they are speaking with a different voice. It is that foolishness. They are willing to die in defense of that man who has promised them, I will give you freedom. Because he went to the higher people, they told them, go and stay. You are going to be in charge. Tell them you give them freedom. They will agree. They are foolish people. They don't have sense. And they will do it. They are being manipulated. So if the people get up quiet and say, we don't want, that is why for the first time, Biafrans got up. courtesy of Martin Kanu's gospel. We don't want. We want out. And they saw it as a formidable threat. Because this Biafra will destroy Nigeria, will destroy the political class, will destroy the power of Britain and other colonial masters that will open the eyes of other African nations to start rebelling against them. They know the truth. So for the people to be awakened psychologically, these people, somebody must get up. At each point in time, God raises somebody. And once that person gets up and the people follow him, they have their liberation. If voices of dissent come up, they either truncate it or delay it or corrupt it. So that is the point. It's not just them and us. It is them, political leaders, and the must.
Okay.
Thank
you, Pastor.
Okay.
Thank you. I was to break down the us aspect of it into, you understand, inside the us of the other side actually had these people that are responsible, yes, against the people. So they are all into us when you divide it in the bigger picture.
Okay, now let's look at it. We are linking all of these to our foundation, which is the issue of what they made us believe. That means the destruction is a foundational problem, not just the elements of what we see today, like election and all of that. The reason why Peter Obi is gallivanting everywhere and people are following him is because there have been a norm and a particular form of destruction that has kept the people in the cagey, dingy dungeon of their own limitations. And those limitations have made them, lose focus of who they are. Because from what this guy said, the three aspects of the things he talked about people choosing democracy rather than development. Yes, and then he talked about tribal sentiments, and then he talked about education. All of these
sentiments instead of liberation.
Yes,
from the white man. We are traveling to superimpose ourselves on other tribes.
Yes, so all of these came because, yes, all of this came because education was the avenue in which they could communicate this destruction. So I'm going to play a particular video now where I want us to link it to what this guy is saying, because Abitombe initially took us to 1914, and of course this video is particularly connected to that time too, because it comes from 1967 when there was a submission from a man, an American who came in and saw for himself and now told us how we have been programmed, and deceived in the context of the issue of deception. Now I'm going to play this video. I want us to listen to it. Then Abitombe, you can now take us in that narrative. Then Pastor Livingston will now take us also from that point. Let's look at it critically.
George Ware, what brings two American student leaders to Biafra at this time?
Well, I would say that more than anything else is ignorance. Ignorance of what is actually going on here in Biafra and exactly what the details of the conflict between Nigeria and Biafra are. Inside the United States, it's very difficult to gather any real information, so we decided to come down ourselves and to see what was going on so that we could take this information back to students in the United States and tell them what the situation in Biafra is.
I see. Now, I understand that you and your colleague are about the first student leaders to come to this country. That's what the Biafrans tell me here.
Yes, I understand that we are, and I think that the reason that is so is because throughout the world there seems to be an international conspiracy to suppress information about this conflict, especially information relating to the historical developments which led to the present crisis. We are led in the United States to believe that His Excellency, who is the leader of the Biafran people, is trying to create a small empire for himself, and that it was in that interest that he broke away from the Nigerian Confederation. And yet, as we've begun to study the history of the developments of the Biafra-Nigerian crisis, what we see is the age-old fact of neocolonial interests playing off the ethnic differences between African people to exploit them for their own gains. We feel that the British Empire, the United States of America, and of course now the Russians, are all engaged in a conspiracy to exploit the differences of the people and to create much destruction among them. And it's all in the interest of material gain and with a complete lack of concern for the humanitarian aspects of the struggle. There's no question that if the Nigerians had not been able to get large amount of arms, they would not have been able to wage such an intense struggle against the Biafran people. But the more basic issue is that regardless of what are the political consideration or the humanitarian considerations, there's no doubt that 14 million people have a right to decide what to do with their lives.
What do you feel now when you talk to all these people around?
Seems I'm frozen again. All right, but we're back. It got frozen for a while. Now, in the perspective that man is coming from, you know, he brought another word in here. He said conspiracy. And does it mean, Abitomi, let me ask you, I want you to make your observations and comments on that particular video, but I want you to focus on the word conspiracy. There's a conspiracy in the world to make and to distract. You know, so can you tell us what you deduced from that video? And that's the statements from that man.
Yes, there's a conspiracy, like he said, a conspiracy against Biafra. Now, if we go back to history, when the imperialists came to this part of the world, they found that Biafrans were actually rich, intelligent, developed. They had a rich culture. They were brave, powerful. And they planned this conspiracy before they brought them together, before they were amalgamated. They also realized that the Hausas, now Hausa Fulani, like they will call themselves now, that these ones, they were unlike these people. They were not very serious with life. They were just okay. They were not ambitious. They were just okay settling the way they are, you know. And so they felt it was better to actually
Abitomi, please. I want you to hold your thoughts there. Let me see what this caller would want to say concerning this. Maybe he has a thought too, because we want to engage them also. You are live on the program, Biafra Global Network. Please, you can go on with your it has dropped, and so please go on, please. Sorry for that.
Okay, yeah. So I was just trying to trace, you know, how far this conspiracy has actually been there even before the Biafran Nigerian War. The conspiracy has been there, and so the conspiracy was part of the misinformation that they gave to the rest of the world. Like the man said, that they misinformed the whole world. You know,
so that means for there to be distraction, you need an instrument of
yes. And so they were able to, with the misinformation, get the rest of the world to team up with Nigeria against Biafra. And so the conspiracy continues today, because what we are witnessing right now, you know, with the issue of election and P2B and all that is going on, is part of the distraction, is part of the conspiracy. The conspiracy still continues, and that's how they took P2B, they invited him to London.
Okay. Please just hold your thoughts there. Let me get this caller to speak to us. You're welcome live on the program, and let's hear you. Hello, you're live on the program. You can go on with your thoughts. Are you there?
Hello?
Yes, you are live. You are live and direct. Please go on.
Hello?
Yes, we can hear you. Can you hear me? Can you hear me?
I try to speak, but I don't know if you are hearing me.
Yes, loud and clear. We can hear you loud and clear. Go on, please.
No, I can't hear you. No.
Okay, you can call back, please. Just call back, so that we can hear you can hear us. If you can hear me now, just call back, because I can hear you loud and clear from here, and I know how people are hearing you as much as you are speaking. All right, so please, sorry for that, Mrs. Abitombe, sorry for that, cutting you off there. I know you have your thoughts process in that regard, and I called you off. Please go on.
Okay, so I was saying that what we're witnessing today, where people are clamoring for this election, is still part of the conspiracy, because the conspirators have planned P2B. They have also planned this tribal. Remember, the first video you played, the man talked about ethnic gain.
Yes.
And so they have planned it. People are not thinking about, oh, what will bring about development. What they are thinking about is Igbo presidency. They are thinking about Fulani presidency. They are thinking about, oh, it's our turn, it should be Yoruba presidency. And so nobody thinks about what development, what would they bring on the table, what is the vision, what's the plan. There's no plan but just to get there because it's our own turn. And if you check most of the people, we are Biafrans, and that's why we keep making reference to P2B. You understand? Okay, yes. So you see most of the people following him, they're not following him because he's going to change anything. He's not going to change anything in Nigeria. They know it's either because he's our own person, he's an Igbo man, let him just get there. Even if he enters there for one day because he's an Igbo man, let him just go there. That's the ethnic gain. And that's part of the conspiracy that they have used. And so the British government wants B2B to force our people to validate, to endorse this election, so that at the end of the day, they will say there was an election, knowing fully well that he's going nowhere, knowing fully well that it will bring about no development, knowing fully well that Biafrans are going to continue dying, they're going to continue killing them, and nobody will speak for them. They will continue to do. You can imagine that our leader, Mazi Nnamdi Kanu, has been in the dungeon for now almost 2 years, and this British consular have not said a word, no tangible word. She said nothing about his being there. I watched her being on one of the channel or so. She was interviewed and she was asked about Mazi Nnamdi Kanu. That was the early months when he was kidnapped, and she just smiled and said, leave that for now, which means it's not important, which means it's not a priority. And all of a sudden now she has woken up and she's sitting to talk about election, talk about PVC, talk to our people to go and pick up PVC. This is an insult. This is an insult, and our people, the eyes of Biafrans need to open to understand this game, because they are going to kill Biafrans the more. If they ever validate this election, they are going to finish, and this is the last opportunity. Truly, it's going to take several, maybe more than 100 years before somebody like our leader would stand up again, or somebody like Mazi Simon will speak again. And so our people need to understand this conspiracy that we have been conspired against from the beginning. We were conspired against in 1967 to 70. We were conspired, and they keep conspiring against us that the oil is coming from our land, the main resources is coming from our land, and yet we are the ones that are picking the crumbs from the table, and they are seated on the table, developing their land. The Fulanis are rich, they have oil wells, and we don't have. You get to Bayelsa State and you weep. You will get to the places. If you get to Oloibiri, the very first place where oil was discovered in Nigeria, you would weep, because that place is a hamlet. No atom of development. And that's how it is all over. You go to Ogoni land, the same thing. The people are in abject poverty. And that is the story. That is the story of the life of a Biafran. And so we have to come to the understanding that this election has nothing for us. Nigeria has nothing for us. We are not wanted in this place. We cannot be wanted in this place. We can never be wanted in that place. And we said it is time to leave, and nothing will stop us. Nobody will stop us. And I thank God for the resolve of Biafrans. And I thank God for our spokesperson, Mazi Simon Ekpa, because there's no going back on this. Biafrans have risen up, and they have made up the few that are still clamoring and dancing around with P2B. They are few. In fact, they are minority. They are minority, because the greater number of Biafrans are ready to go. And they are ready to do anything for their freedom, because freedom is taken, is not given. The British government will not give us freedom. United Nations will not give us freedom. International community, whatever, UN, they are all involved in the conspiracy, and none of them will give us freedom. We have to take the freedom. Whatever it costs, we have to take it. And I want to say something. You know, somebody talked about religious leaders. I want to speak to religious leaders. We have We have probably a greater number of religious leaders in this very Nigeria and Biafra lands, of course, mostly Christians. So that's where we have them. We have mega churches. We have churches everywhere. You turn around, everywhere is a church. In fact, you have more churches than any other thing. But you hear few voices speaking. But we also know that religious leaders are the ones, even through the Bible, they are the ones that speak to authorities. They speak to, they rebuke kings. We have prophets that will stand and rebuke kings. They will speak to them when they err. And when things are not going, they are bold to talk to them. And we have people like Archbishop Desmond Tutu. This was an archbishop, but we know the role he played in South Africa as a man of God. Of course, we know about the Right Reverend Martin Luther King Jr. He was a Baptist reverend, but he was involved. He was speaking out. He was vocal. Today, he's been celebrated everywhere. But our pastors and reverends and bishops, they are colluding with these corrupt politicians. They are speaking for corrupt politicians. They are praying for them. They are hiding them. They are persuading their brethren. I even saw where they said, you must take PVC before you enter the church. So they are validating what those people are doing. They can't speak against them. They are part of the game. They are part of the conspiracy. I must tell you, they are part of the conspiracy. And Biafrans must rise up against this whole corruption that have eaten deep. And some people they are blind to what is going on. But thank God for the wise ones that understand the times, like the sons of Issachar. They understand the times. And they have stood up to say, we're not validating this election. We would not endorse it. We're endorsing no one. It will not take place in our land. And this is the set time. Thank you very much.
Wow, Pastor Minister, before you wade into that, I know you want to say something concerning that, especially she raised a very serious point here, the insult from Katrina Line or whatever she's called, that insult. And again, this is another one trying to create another distraction, coming to make us feel like he's very concerned so that we can begin to consider and lay our guards. He's coming, a man from Mauritania, Malaji Shehu Galadima, one of those people who have designed the Fulanese to kill our people, and coming to tell us about, peace be unto who and whoever, whatever design they use in creating some kind of sentiments. Now, you're going to talk in that regard too, and of course in the regard of the insult of Katrina Lang, and of course most of the things that Abitobi talked about. Now, but first, let me play that video again.
But here's three things that keeps Africa enslaved to the Chinese and the white man by virtue of their politicians. Number one, we have been distracted in America, the Caribbean, Africa, all over the world. It's a Pan-African problem. We have been distracted from development with democracy. Everybody's focusing on who to vote for. You're not looking at the conditions. What's going to change whether he wins or he wins? Because guess who's financing both of them? The same people stealing your oil. Who's financing both of them? The same people stealing your gold. Who's financing both of them? The same people stealing your coltan. You follow me? So democracy is a joke they play on black people to make you think you can have radical transformation without revolution. The reason the white man pushes democracy globally so hard is if there's ever a breakdown in the black man's confidence in democracy, the only alternative is revolution. So that's number one. Democracy is a distraction from development. Number two, when I travel, especially Africa, but it's true in the Caribbean also, black people are more concerned with their tribe being in control than they are with liberation from foreign control. Are you following me? I've seen it. So when the elections is coming up, it's not about freeing us from white supremacy or Chinese imperialism. It's about, are my people going to be the president? Is somebody from my tribe going to be the prime minister? And because they're more concerned about tribal imperialism than African independence, this democratic scheme that they run on black people continues because we're so petty and so small in our thinking. I just want to make sure his people don't get the presidency. I'm not even looking at the bigger picture. The white man knows this. The Chinese know this. So they come in, exploit, finance both sides, so no matter who wins, they get all the resources. And then the third issue is most African leaders and Caribbean are foreign educated. They go to Britain for their education. They go to France for their education. They go to Belgium. They come to America for their education. And what did Dr. Carter G. Woodson say in Miseducation of the Negro? The college-educated Negro is seldom of any use to his race, because the education he gets is an education that takes him away from identification with his people. So most of our African and Caribbean and American leaders are Negropean. They have an African body, they have a European mind. So the white man and the yellow man are controlling the black man through remote control by virtue of conscious control of the way that he thinks. The entire thought process of the African leader, there's a few exceptions, but for most of them and the Caribbean, the entire thought process is that of a white man. How can we get free?
Pastor, let's hear from you. Yeah, Pastor Livingstone, let's hear from you regarding the insults and all of that.
It's quite unfortunate, not just the insult. Let me look at the man that was talking before the war, during the war. He thought of ignorance, later on he thought of conspiracy. Now starting with ignorance, let us assume that the Americans were ignorant before the war. They were misinformed. But will the Americans still say the same thing today?
That's it.
I want to ask you a question. Will I be, because I am afraid that they're going to come here and kill me now, then I will not speak the truth? Look at my face. A man dies for what he believes in. In the first place, let me make it clear to the whole world. We don't believe in violence. We don't want war as much as it is possible. We want to get Biafra without anybody being killed. But on a daily basis, we are being killed. We did not go to the north to attack them. They came down to the east to kill us. And so, when the American authorities were being approached, they said it was not their priority. So this time it is not ignorance. That comment showed negligence. And now, the latest comment of the American ambassador to Nigeria is that of conspiracy. Because she said that they are going to support democratic election in Nigeria, and they have absolute confidence in INEC, in their capacity to perform, and that they are going to stand against anybody that is contrary to election in Nigeria. And they are aware that our people have been raped, our women have been raped, children killed. She's a mother. She has to learn. She knows the amount of value she places on her own children in the first instance, and then American children. But we know what it means to violate somebody's rights or sexually abuse a woman. We know what it means in America. And there is a raw manifestation of rape, dehumanization, and abuse, an attack of a woman's psychology that will bring her down to lose value for herself and see herself as an animal by another man, which you are aware. You don't want to say anything. Is that ignorance? No. Is that negligence? No. Is it conspiracy? Y-E-S in block letters. Because they cannot say they are not aware. That they are not aware that there is attack from the north, Boko Haram, bringing insecurity in the whole country, where they said their workers should leave. That there is danger there. So when I begin to look at it, I said we are dumb. We are dumb people. This man said it. He said it now. He reiterated that the dumbness of Africa, how fickle and petty-minded we are. The African man who wants position. Note that the Fulani man has subjected his people. We shall come to educational aspect. We have to discuss that. That's why I want
very
to
well, very well.
So I don't want to jump into that place here. So let me narrow it to what I'm saying. The comment we are blaming Katrina Yang. Why would you blame her? She has a good base in Nigeria by the caliphate, by Igbo political leaders. So how can you blame this woman if she pretends not to see the killings in Biafra land? When the very Biafran peoples that are of Biafra extraction are supporting the government in power to continue, regardless of the killings that are taking place, which is supposed to generate international outrage. How would you blame Katrina Yang, who is here in defense of the interest of her country, not her personal interest? It is subjected. It is to see that there is oil to finance British economy. There is
so all she's saying is just for the interest of her people.
Exactly. Then the people whom she's dealing with don't even talk of the interest of their own people. So if they are called out to order, she wouldn't be saying it.
So which means
so she looks at
putting our anger. So which means we getting angry with her. It's very stupid. We have to think of ourselves.
Yeah, it doesn't make sense. Because if we didn't give her a chance, she wouldn't be doing it. And
that's right.
So the people who are giving her the impetus are those who supposedly are leaders. And we have members, people who support to be invariably support Katrina Yang, whether they like it or not. So even the people who are stupid, the people who go about following, I have many of them. I normally snooze them from my list because they don't want to reason beyond what they think Obi will give them. Okay, before I go on, before I close, no, I'm not closing. Before I round up, right here, listen to me. If you may say I'm emotional about this, that's your problem. I'm discussing Bible here now. The Bible says in Psalm 5, verse 4, it says, "For thou art not a God that hath pleasure in wickedness, neither shall evil dwell with thee." There is wickedness and evil going on in Biafra land today, extending to other nations of the world. The Bible says that God is not a God that delights.
Since you have a call.
I've put it off. No, but they keep calling me. They keep calling me. My heart is grieved. That is why I am saying something. I believe in the word of God. But for the sake of those who don't believe, like the Muslims, it is evident that there is wickedness going on in the land. Raping people, killing them, burning down their houses. Now, the Bible says God does not delight in it. And God has to prove himself because we are fighting a formidable array of enemies. We don't have the capacity to fight them. We are fighting against Britain, we are fighting against America. But if America will say what that woman said, she represents the voice of the United States as the ambassador. And if she said that she's supporting the election in Nigeria, turning a blind eye to all the rape, the killings, the terrible things that have been done, turning a deaf ear to our advocacy for self-actualization without the application of violence, for people have a right to determine, like that man said, 40 million people have a right to determine where they want to go, and we're more than 40 million now. So if she's saying it means we're fighting against America, fighting against Britain, we're fighting against the caliphate, we're fighting against our politicians, we're fighting against members of Igbo extraction who are supporting Obi. Have you seen? And we're fighting against DOS members who are supposed to stand in defense of the Biafran struggle. We're fighting against so many things. The only person that can help us is God. And the Bible says in the scriptures here, in the book of Psalm, chapter 5, verse 4, hear me, O people, that the truth be told, if they come here tomorrow and kill me, I will die. But I give God praise because God said, for Thou art not a God that had pleasure in wickedness. God cannot have pleasure in the way we are being raped and killed and destroyed. If we are the ones doing it, God will not have pleasure. Because God is not delighting wickedness. And again, it says, neither shall evil dwell with God. So those people who are doing this evil thing, they say that God is with them. They go and pray, they do this evil, and say that they are Allah. If it is this God of heaven, it has to be proved from his word. That is where I stand.
That's serious. Abitumbe, do you have anything to say as regards that? Maybe when he was talking, something came to your mind.
Yes,
Before we go
yes.
on the issue of education now. Yes.
Yes. To add to what Pastor Livingston has said, Pastor, thank you very much for that contribution. You know, I was just thinking about this conspiracy, how large. You know, he mentioned all those involved in this conspiracy. And it is very, very enlarged circle because he mentioned the politicians. And I was also thinking, how about the politicians, their wives? These we've not heard their wives, we've not heard, these are women that are witnessing the killings. These are mothers witnessing the killings of young people, maybe the age of their children being killed. They witness houses burnt down, and these women don't speak, just like their husbands don't speak, and their children don't speak. In most cases, their children are not even in the contraction here. Their children are all abroad. They are not here. And even when they are planning this election, their children are not there. They are not part of it because they know it's going to be rough. For the places and the previous experiences is usually very rough. So they mobilize young people, and these young people get killed, but their children are not killed. Their children don't go out for PVC. Their wives are well protected in armored cars, so nothing happens to them. But the ordinary people go out there, they go to queue, and those ones are the ones killed. And so our people need to be wise. They need to be wise and take advantage of this golden opportunity that we have. Like our spokesperson said, Matthew Simon, he said, we've never had a better opportunity than now. That this is the best opportunity that Biafrans ever have had to get out of the contraction. This is the best opportunity, and we'll have to take advantage of it. Take advantage of it. So Biafrans all over the world, wherever you are, open your eyes to understand what is going on and what your role should be. Reject this election. No matter what is brought before you, no matter the money, in some cases they give money, and it was money, you know, they gave to some people to sell off our leader that was only speaking the truth. A man that God himself brought. He did not harm anybody. He did not shoot anybody, but money, which is part of the conspiracy, because it's just a peanut from the lot. They take our oil, they take our resources, they sell it, some money, just a little of it, they give it to some people and they sell off. They sell off their right, they sell off everything that they are, they sell off their mind, their reasoning capacity, they sell it off just for a little money. And so our people need to wake up. It actually a wake-up call.
Excuse me, Abby. May I ask a question? Why should DY Danjuma have an oil well? On what basis? This is the collective wealth of a people. One man from the north came out and they gave him an oil well that has made him a multi-billionaire today.
But he's not the only person.
It's
no. I've just asked him. There are others. You start from one.
Yes.
Now, Samfara has gold, which is sold in Dubai. There are people, it's not for Nigeria. You don't dare go and a man from the east go and take that gold and say he has a portion.
Not at all.
So what hurts me is in this climate of America, can you have an oil well by yourself? Can it be a portion to you? Because Obasanjo gave oil wells to people. But one gave oil well to T.Y. Danjuma. Can that happen here? Then why are they allowing it? If not for the simple reason that it is an opportunity for them to exploit us, to take care of their nation. Britain is afraid that when Russia stops supplying gas, Europe is afraid that the winter will kill their own people. So they are willing to make concessions to see if that they get gas. And if Russia is not going to play their game, they turn their face towards Nigeria, where they have unquantifiable quantity of gas.
That's why they want that election to hold.
So
that's why they want that election to hold. That's the reason for the election. It must hold. Anyway, and like they say.
Go ahead, my dear. I'm very happy.
It's interesting because for the first time, it's very interesting because for the first time, this Katrina is coming out so strongly to appeal to the people to go get PVC.
She now wants it.
Strange.
She's ambassador of plenipotentiary. She's
shocking.
INEC ambassador. Extraordinary. She's working with INEC.
A citizen of. Now look at it.
It's an INEC official
of Britain
in Nigeria.
A citizen of Britain is in dungeon. Someone who is their citizen. She has not said anything over 1 year plus, but she's talking about election. Now let's go to the education side.
Because people and other politicians in Igbo land, whenever, did you see when he came? They go and visit her. They are very happy to take pictures with her. She will go to Sokoto and visit her and respect the Sultan. But she will not come to the of Onitsha to visit his house. Or people will go and look for her in Lagos or Abuja. And they'll be very happy to sit with her, stand like this, and take pictures. Why do you blame her? We are dumb people. Because. Yes,
now, let's go to the education side. I think that's where the problem is coming from. I think the problem is coming from that education side. Now, let's go to that education side because that's where the basic problem is coming, and that is what has made us dumb. Now, I believe from this narrative, Abi Toby, you will take it first. You answer this before Pastor Livingstone comes into this. Now, I believe that the reason why that American representative on CNN said that it's horrible what is happening in Nigeria. They understand what is the circumstance and all of that. It's very horrible, very terrible, but it is not a priority. I believe in this, that one, they believe that they have given us, one, the kind of education that will make us, that will regulate our mind to concentrate, in doing what they have already dictated through the design of their education system that have taken over our own education, taking over our own style of educating our people, because they brought in their education, they changed the program, they changed the curriculum and all of that. They used their system to overshadow our system. Two, they believe that they have given the Fulanese the power that they are looking for. They are bloodthirsty people and very desperate for power. So they have given them the power, and those guys are using the power very well, controlling the people. So since they have the tool of controlling the people's mind through education, and at the same time having the Fulanese control the people and through the use of force, they think that it is no more a priority for them to come in because they already have their instruments. They're controlling our mind through education. They're controlling us through force using the Fulanese. Let me bring this guy first. Let me bring this caller first to speak before you wade into that matter. Please, you are live on the program. Please go on. We can hear you now.
Yeah, Mazi Kelechi, good evening from here.
Good evening.
Livingstone and our lovely sister, greetings from here. Please, Mazi, I don't have enough to contribute. I just want to please tell Pastor Livingstone to do that his setting or his network. He's tracking badly. I've been typing on the comment section. And I want to be, we want to be hearing him clearly, but we can't get him clearly. He's tracking badly.
Yes.
Maybe let him just fix his network or go back and come. We want to be hearing him like as we're hearing you.
Okay. Thank you so much. I've been seeing your messages anyway, but it's just that somehow it is manageable because I think it is a problem of the system problem. I don't know if it's possible to change to the laptop, but if it's not possible, then we have to manage it that way, because even if he goes out and comes in again, it may still. So let's see how it goes. Anyways, I understand you, my brother. Thank you so much. We have another call from here. You're live on the program. Please, you can go on.
Hello.
Yes, please, live and direct. You're on all the way from the UK. So please go on.
Good evening.
Yeah, good evening.
It's Noelin here.
Noelin. Oh, good to hear you today, Noelin. Thank you for calling in.
Yeah, I've been trying. I was the person trying to call before.
Oh, okay, okay.
It wasn't working.
Okay,
yeah.
Okay. Please go on.
Okay. One thing I want to disagree with what you say. I don't believe it's about education that made Africans not to be doing things right.
Okay, hold on, please. Noelin, please hold on. Hold on, please, Noelin. I want my guests to hear you very well. You said one thing you don't agree with them and agree with every one of us is that you don't think the problem is education, right?
No, I don't believe that education,
okay.
Education you receive in Western world will make you to forget Africa or forget what you're supposed to do,
okay,
or what is real in Africa.
Okay.
People made up their mind as soon as they cross. People made up their mind to cut off Africa. If it says that maybe they're angry with the position they are before they left, or they're angry that their parents made them to be like that.
Okay.
Not realizing that where they are going is the people that made them to be like that.
Okay.
As I said, I've been in UK since 1995, and nothing can change me not to be fighting for Africa, to be as good as where I am. So I don't. To me personally, I will never agree that education that is making Africa to be that. It's personal. I have brothers and sisters here. I mean, mother and father, the same mother, the same father.
Yes.
They're not thinking of Africa at all. They're not even thinking of how to help the people in Africa at all.
Okay.
So is it not the same education they have that I have? So I believe it's personal. People just decide to do what they want to do or forget Africa entirely. Number two of what I want to contribute, if you look at what happened between David and Goliath, Goliath has been calling out for war, calling out for boasting and doing everything. And the people of Israel are running away. So what I believe the European workers are doing now is helping to boost the fear. So when they are saying something, the stupid people in Africa, the stupid people in Biafra and the Oduduwa, not Fulani, they are afraid of them because of what they believe they can do. So they are not thinking of what God can do through them.
Okay.
They're only thinking of, oh, these people are powerful, so we shouldn't talk, because if we talk, maybe they will kill all of us. So their contribution towards all this is to make people more afraid. Don't you know America? Don't you know Britain? Don't you know? So you know that, don't you know? We all once you think of don't you know, you already know they are powerful. So the fear cripple you more. So you only take those people who know that they are nothing. In the presence of God, they are nothing. So you have to stand their right, and God will back you up. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Noelin, for that submission. Now, I want Abitombe. She doesn't believe that education is the problem. Can you say something about that? Yeah, are you there, Abitombe? Are you there?
Oh yes, I'm here.
Education. What do you think? What's your reaction to what she said about education? She said education is not.
Well, what I would say is that there's no one single factor, or reason responsible for what Africa have become or what is happening to us. There are several reasons, and education for sure has played a role. Education Western education has its own role. And when we say Western education, most of the design, when designing the system and the structure, they've designed it in a way that there's so much comfort where we go to, especially when you live here. And that's why Africa has to remain poor. Nigeria has to remain very poor. Just like the medical, you have to go out. These politicians, and they have to go out for their medical. They cannot. There's no good hospital in Nigeria. It's part of the conspiracy. It's part of the plan. So they have to keep going out over and over, spend their money there and come back. And so in designing our curriculum, just like you said, designing curriculum, it is also part of it, because what this young man said is not just all about those on the African continent. He said both Caribbean, both the blacks that are in America. So it isn't all about Africa as a continent, the people that reside here, that is all round. And so part of the offshoot of slavery, which happened to those that went out and those that are within, have contributed. And religion is part of it. The education is part of it. The structures and systems set up, they are all part of it. And when you put all together, it has molded and reprogrammed and created this Nigerian man, or this Biafran, that does not even care so much. In Nigeria, they removed, at some point, they removed history from the curriculum as part of the reprogramming for people not to know their history. And so the foundational packaging that was done here was to change people's way of thinking and to appreciate everything that is Western and forget their sorrow while they are suffering. And that's what has left us in poverty. That's what has left us in a state of accepting peanut. That's what has led the so-called politicians in the land not to know their right, not to be able to speak up. Like I said before, Biafrans are very bold people. When you read through history, when the imperialists, they came, it was only in Biafra land that they did not, they don't bow. They don't bow to people. And so they wouldn't bow to them. And it's part of it.
Let me just you said so many things, and so far from the points you've made, I know Pastor Livingston too wants to say something along that line, regarding and I have things to say along that line, but I'm not going to say anything about it now. But we have someone online now. Let's hear what he's going to say. Maybe he wants to talk about this also in regards to education, because education is a very, very, very tricky thing here. It's very, very tricky. So we have to deal with it. So you're welcome to the program, live and direct. You can go on now, please. We can hear you.
Good evening, sir.
Good evening. Welcome, my brother. You're welcome to the program. Please go on. Our guests are here. Pastor Livingstone is here, and Abitombe is here.
My name is Thomas Eliza.
Oh wow, Thomas, you're welcome.
I wanted to contribute based on the education and other things. You people have said a lot, but I didn't follow up right from the beginning. Anyway, but education is a means of enslavement also. You understand? They will try to teach you what you know. They will try to teach you those things they want you to believe in. They will try to teach you and make you feel as if they are more superior than we, the blacks. You understand? For the British and for the Americans, the life of a common black man doesn't matter to them. They think they are more superior. They are superior.
Hello, Coach, what's going on? Hello?
can hear
the
you.
conversation between the. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you. Go on.
You remember the conversation between the interview between Commodore Kunle Olawumi?
Please hold on. Please hold on.
When they want.
Please hold on. Eleza, hold on, please. Just hold on. Pastor Livingston, can you hear us?
Yes, I can.
All right. So please go on, so that I want to be sure that they are hearing you too. So go on.
Okay. Well,
yes.
Do you remember the interview between General Commodore Olawumi, the Naval Commodore,
yes.
Kunle Olawumi?
Yes.
When he was saying that the people in Buhari's government, they are the ones sponsoring Boko Haram.
Mm.
He said something very remarkable. He said that in 2014, he went to Howard University in the United States.
Mm.
That they were there discussing with the American and the CIA, the American government, on who was going to be the best solution to the Nigerian problem. Is America supposed to make selection for Nigeria who is going to be best, or the citizens of Nigeria know who are best for them? These people are only interested in their interest matters to them a lot. They want to put somebody that will work for their own interest.
I can't hear him.
Yeah, Kelechi, we can't hear him. We can't. Can you hear me yourself?
With your life, does she have that right? She's telling us that our PVC is our right. You should exercise your franchise. You should not allow anyone to deprive you of our right and democracy. Do we have democracy in Nigeria? Do we have rights in Nigeria? In a country where you have rights, you can. Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you. Just round off in 1 minute so we can move on. Yeah.
Okay, in a country where they have rights, or where the government will be the rule of law and democracy, you will not force anything on anybody. If the Biafra people say that they don't want to be part of Nigeria again, you don't threaten them with guns and bullets. All these people are not watching everything that is going on. This Nigerian military have come out to threaten us with guns and bullets. When the UK want to leave the EU, nobody threatened them with guns and bullets. Nobody threatened them with superior firepower. There was a referendum, and they peacefully left the EU. I don't know why in the issue of the Biafra struggle, the world have been, they have always been against us, or they are trying to fight against our freedom. They don't want us to be free so that they can continue to exploit us on our own expense.
All right, thank you,
sir.
Thank you so much for that submission. Yeah, that means you are saying education is one of the key elements for this kind of distraction and all of that. And Pastor Livingston, what do you have to say about this issue of education? I think we'll need to have a time when we're going to really talk about education, because it is multifaceted. That's why it's very confusing. Please go on.
Exactly. Before I say it, I want to say something first. People should not criminalize self-agitation. People should not criminalize peaceful protest for self-agitation. When you criminalize it, you give a dog a bad name so as to kill it. We want Biafra. We shouldn't be seen as against anybody. It is us that is being killed. If it is possible, we would like a referendum to take place. A referendum will take place where we decide amongst us whether to be in Nigeria or not. That's a peaceful process and separation, just like it happened to Britain. They left the Brexit, and other countries like Somalia, from Eritrea, from Ethiopia, from India, Pakistan, and others. So let's tell ourselves the simple truth. Don't criminalize this thing. Peaceful self-agitation. It is not by force that we should be in Nigeria. We don't find the place conducive for us to stay as a people. They are killing us every day. So don't come and be telling us that if we don't do it, then you are going to deal with us decisively. We are not the ones that kill people. it is them that come from the north to kill. They have seen them being brought from Sahel. They flooded our nation to kill. And you're still talking about election. Please. So, the woman that spoke from Britain, well, she spoke from her own angle. You know, this thing about we reason differently. So you have to accommodate another person's manner of thinking. That people who look at things holistically from all dimensions. This education thing is multifaceted. It's not just from the angle she's looking at it. You understand me? Abiton made her own comment that there's no single place where you can point a finger. It has to do here and there. But in the long run, education becomes the key for any nation to develop. And on a scale of 10, 8 is negative, 2 is positive. So we can say education is responsible. I want to explain. Are you following me? Are you hearing me loud and clear?
Loud, yes.
Are you hearing me loud and clear?
Yeah.
Okay. So
Yeah.
so look at it this way. The very Muslims in the north went to these same universities like us, but it did not take away their strong commitment to their religion and their tradition. It didn't. So when they implemented Boko Haram, it was against Western education. Not that they did not take Western education, they did. But the Western education is tailored towards building you into being a patriotic person or a patriotic American. It is not to be a patriotic African man in your country. Because if it was tailored, why did they remove history from our curriculum? So that young people of this generation will not see it and know how injustice was done and they rise up and protest. Why is it that you go to primary school, the chimes and the rhymes that you read are the ones that were fashioned in Britain, not the ones that were fashioned locally? Why is it that we cannot evolve a situation where we use our language to teach mathematics in secondary school, university? It will take us time, but it can be evolved. We can use our language to teach chemistry, because when you use your local dialect, you transfer, you bring a kind of a connection between you and what you are studying, and you have a perfect understanding of that in your language. That is what's happening to China. That's what's happening to Japan, happening to India. That you speak good English does not mean you're intelligent. That you speak Queen's English or American English doesn't make you better than the Chinese man who does not even know how to speak English, but is a very, very excellent engineer. Yesterday, I ran into a young man, about 28 years. He has done his PhD, and he's from India. He's from India. His name is Shemek. I think so. Abhishek or something. Abhishek. Now, this young man, I was discussing the Biafran situation, the Indian situation with him. He told me that he doesn't even know what is happening in Biafra. Do you understand me? Because he said he did his PhD in India. The Indians produced a kind of education using their language, which all the mindset is India on how to make India great. So when you go to British University, they tell you all the stories of great British politicians, warriors, statesmen, and you come your head is filled with everything about Britain and their story. The story about London, the story about how they came about. You don't know a story about what happened in Biafra before Nigeria was brought in 400-500 years ago. Biafra had existed. You are not taught that in British schools. And so your mindset, why is it that when we went to the British school to study, we did not bring that, what we have learned, to come and run our own country functional system? But anytime we live here and go to Britain, we kill it. They make us the best. We become board of directors, head of organization, head of this thing, and we do it very well. The British depend on us for wisdom, on how to manage things, how to lead. But when you come over here, you don't do it, because the education is not narrowed to bring development to your place. It's narrowed to recognize him. At the moment you start thinking of trying to bring good education, look at this man who was the Minister of Agriculture in Jonathan's government. And that was it, Adesami, one young, very brilliant young man. This guy was frustrated. So when you want to bring what you know into your place to fix it, those people whose minds have been reprogrammed to think like the British people, even though they have the African flesh. Those Negro pins only see things from that angle. That's why that woman who has been living in Britain for so many years is not ready to come back and contribute a quota in Nigeria. She wants to stay there. And that is why I want her from Nigeria, so that we can have a Biafra where she can come and contribute a quota. Things can run smoothly and work very, very well. So when you put it on a scale of 10, and 8 persons who went to British schools think like the British, only 2 persons can do something for his country, then you say their education, which was given with the intention, we went there with the intention to be educated and benefit our society. Instead, it separated us from the locals. It made us to become lords. It gave us opportunity for money. It brought about discrimination to see those down there as low. It gave room for us not to see our people as reasonable enough to develop them, but it is the British people. So most of the resources will go. It also made us subject to them. They gave us education. We are their servants. If we want anything, we have to resort to them. It's a problem.
Well, it's a problem. It's a problem. Abitombi, do you have anything to say regarding that? Your thoughts were held the other time. Do you have anything to say regarding that? Let's round up because we already.
Yes, I was going to add that the same education, just like Pastor Livingstone said, the same education that we receive, the same education the Fulanis, they also go out and receive, but they come back with everything. And we, if you check, we've thrown away our culture. We have thrown away those people who go there, they will study, they will come back. Okay. And they are the same people.
So now
they are speaking their language, they are dominated. But yes, we throw away everything, throw away our culture.
Yes, the big question becomes how come they are able to retain their culture, their values and all of that, and make sure they stand strong for their culture and all of that. And yet we are not able to do that. Majority of our people are just carried away by, that saying stuff. I think we're going to discuss, I would like us to discuss this. I don't know, in the next, because of the time, maybe next week, Tuesday, I don't know if it will be possible for us to be here. Let's focus on education next week, Tuesday.
Yeah,
because I want us to spread it, in a wider sense. Let's look at culture regarding, in relation to education, and then also look at religion regarding education and see how we can bring a balance to this. Because Noeline actually brought this perspective to it, and we have to look at it. And of course, she's saying, I want to go back to Biafra 100%. When Pastor Livingstone, she knows she would like to go, so she said, yes, I want to go back to Biafra 100%. And of course, we have Everman saying T.Y. Danjuma forgot himself, and it's God that made him. We're great submissions today, and of course, we have touched a lot of these things. But next week, Tuesday, by the same time, 4 p.m. Biafra time, we're going to be looking at education critically in the core reason why we have remained, enslaved. We're going to look at it, and we're going to think of how and talk together on how we're going to deal with this matter, and then free our minds so that we can understand why a Fulani man will still believe in, cutting the neck of somebody else in spite of the Western education or whatever it is. Is it that their own education is designed in a concept, in a way that their religious beliefs takes core, basis regarding that or something? We're going to look at it critically together, and next week, Tuesday, the same time program, Evident History, we're going to be looking at this matter. And we want you to be here. Write your questions, draft your questions, draft your observations, draft your own comments, and be here next week, Tuesday. And let's, be in the same boat and work together in this regard. Because the purpose of this program is to educate you and at the same time to get you to understand the things that are keeping us back and how we need to move forward. I want to thank my guests, and of course, the platform also belongs to them. So it's not just them. They are not just guests. They are guests in the sense that they are intervening in the issues here, that we are talking about today. And at the same time, doing justice to everything. I want to thank you, Abitombe, all the way, in spite of your time and everything, you could give out your time all this time now, 2 hours, 10 minutes, you are here. And of course, Thank you so much. I appreciate you. I want to thank Pastor Emeka Livingstone. Of course, somebody posted here something and said the strong man of Biafra. I just smiled, when I saw it. Thank you so much, Pastor. Before we go, please, Abitombe, you have something to say? Your final words, and then Pastor Livingstone also will say his final words, and then we close for the day.
Yes, thank you very much, Mazi Kelechi. Thank you, thank you. I want to speak to Biafrans, wherever you are and you are a Biafran. I want to remind you that we are a very brave race. We are brave. We are intelligent. We are known for that. Even before the imperialists came to this land, we were doing very well. Economically, we were stable. We are very intelligent. We were producing a lot of things, and it played out during the 1967-70 war. The ingenuity of a Biafran is so much. God have endowed us. God have blessed us. So we are intelligent. Be proud of who you are and stand tall. Forget all that has happened. Forget everything that has happened. Stand tall and go for what is ours. And this is the right time. This is the right time. And that right time means standing to say no election in Biafra land. We are not going to validate this election. We are endorsing nobody. We stand together, shoulder to shoulder, with our spokesperson, Mazi Simon Ekpa. We stand with our leader that already went before us to say no election and ensure that it does happen that way. Whatever it takes to make sure there's no election, we will do it, because this is the set time for us to take our freedom. Don't be afraid of the killing. After all, they've been killing us. But we have to fight for the last time and get our freedom, because nobody will give it to us. We have to take it. We'll take it ourselves. So thank you very much for listening to us. And I want to especially appreciate our spokesperson that has been like a pillar, encouraging every one of us, Mazi Simon Ekpa. He is too much. I want to say thank you very much. We love you lavishly for all that you're doing. Standing tall. You are a true Biafran, and that is who we are. When we look at you, that is a true picture of who a Biafran is. And anybody that is not behaving this way, maybe there's a Fulani blood somewhere. That person's DNA may have been corrupted with Fulani blood. And I want to appreciate our ESN and to thank them for what they are also doing, the guardian angels that we have taking care of our land, and our Umad and everyone that have contributed greatly to what is happening right now, because we can sense, we can touch our freedom. It is already here. So thank you very much, Mazi Kelechi. And I want to say a very big thank you to Pastor Emeka for me being here, side by side you to be on this program. Thank you, sir. Thank you. I love you so much. Thank you, great Biafrans. I love you all.
Thank you. Thank you. We love you too. And Pastor Emeka, please, the final words before we move.
Yes, Abitumbi has said it all I wanted to say. She just said my mind. I just want to add to what she said in respect to no election in Biafra land. If you stay at home that day, nobody will come and kill you. Correct. So this bloodshed, we can just deal with it effectively if we just ignore them, stay at home. They will come and force you to come and vote. But when you go out, they themselves will organize people and begin to force you, come on, go and vote, go and vote. Maybe you are going about your business. They force you to go and vote. And then if you refuse, they will kill you. They will say it is IPOB autopilot. And the foreign press will carry it is us. If you decide that day, say you're not stepping up, ghost all the towns. Stay at home. Don't go out for the election. Nobody will come into your house and kill you. Very simple.
Ghost all the town. Thank you so much, Pastor. Eliezer Thomas said PVC means poverty verification card. That's interesting. Oh, Lord have mercy. That's just interesting. Thank you all. It's just that I couldn't read your messages. It's already late here. The time is, far spent, and we're going to have time like this again. Next week, Tuesday, we're going to have our guests here. You know, they're going to be here again on Tuesday next week by 4 p.m. Biafra time. They're going to be here, and we're going to deal more on this matter. And thank you so much. Write your contributions, your questions, prepare them towards that day. And we want to tell you, as Pastor have said, and as Abitombi have said, you don't need to endorse your poverty. Again, you cannot be killed if you are indoors. You are the one bringing the problem. When you come out, they kill you. The Nigeria state kill you, and then they will be to put it on us. So please don't bring that problem. Just stay indoors. If you don't like your life, first stay indoors. After election, we can now know what to do with you and see how we can bring you back to understanding the value of life. Maybe because Nigeria state has made you think that there's no value to life. Just be patient. Stay indoors and be alive and see Biafra. Then you will see that there is value to life, because the Biafra will give you value. Thank you so much, everyone, for watching. Those who have sent their messages, I can't really read them now. You know, I always read your messages. I want to get your thoughts here. But next week, we're going to try. I'll just try to pin some messages when I see them, especially when they have to do it. Because of the time, we have to deal with different things. I'm going to actually deal with your questions and some of your concerns here. But next week, we're going to have time for that. Thank you so much. We love you all. And thank you so much, my guest, Pastor Emeka Livingstone, Abitombe. Thank you so much for honoring this this day and being part of this and giving your time to Biafrans. Thank you so much. We appreciate you. The God of Biafra will reward you very, very much. Thank you so much. We appreciate you. And I say on behalf of Mazi Samonekpa, on behalf of the Autopilot people, everyone, including you who is part of the Autopilot, I thank you, appreciate you, and I say thank you. Be strong and wait for the good news, because the good news is coming. And of course, you know that it has started. So thank you all. We'll see you next time.
Thank you. Thank you, Abby. God bless you.
God bless.